Hello friends, let's learn to make an easy sketch of this scooter today. This is the photograph from where we will draw the sketch. The first thing you have to do is convert the photograph into monochrome, which is black and white. Now what I'm going to do is, looking at the measurement of this rectangular shape of the scooter, I'm drawing a similar rectangle here. Right now I'm not bothered too much about the curves, etc. What I'll worry about is the proportion. So very closely looking at the picture, I'm giving little curves of course, but right now my focus is proportion and perspective. So one by one I am redoing the lines where I believe the redoing is required and going ahead with the rest of the outline. At this stage it's just the outline, no shading, to get the structure of the scooter in place. Next, this big light, I hovered over my pencil over the light in the picture and did the same thing on the paper so that the angle of the oval comes in perfectly, and giving in some lines for the handle. So now I have to look at the angle in which the scooter is going, which is the perspective. So what you can do is you can lay your pencil on a picture like this and look at the angle of the lines. It's very important to get this correctly. Even in buildings you do that. And now we need to see as to how far the seats will go behind or at the back of the scooter, and I'll show you how I'll measure that. So what I'm doing is I'm seeing the structure in the front which I have made and looking at the size of it and seeing as to what is the size in comparison to that in the back of the seat. That's what I did, and I made a marking as to that's where the scooter will end. Now with this the proportions will come rightly. In any object, if you compare one proportion to the rest of the body, that's how you measure a particular object in right proportions. So we took the front of the scooter and saw as to at what distance as compared to it would be the back of the seat. Now making the curves of the scooter one by one and going ahead with that. Once again looking at the directions of the lines within the scooter and going ahead. I want you to focus on one thing here, which is lines, perspective, proportions, size, and overall outline. Don't obsess at this stage or at the beginning of your art journey to be absolutely precise or make it a realistic drawing. As long as your proportions and perspectives are correct at this stage, you're on the right path. Now either you can make this thing on the side or from the other side, or you can leave it. I've decided to keep that as is, and some these knobs and buttons there. Again this oval, we could hover our pencil over the picture and see as to what is the angle of it, and very quickly doing the rest of the stuff. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfectly realistic. As long as the shape is looking like a scooter, the size is not haywire, you can go ahead looking at how the tire would come in and giving it the shape. The front tire is something that you need to do a little carefully because that is in the front and the focus of our eyes would be there. So I'm giving it a little more diligent or a focused lines. However, I'm again not very obsessed with the correctness and realistic work. But if you see, even in this quick sketch form, the shape of the scooter is taking place. Very quickly giving the stance. And we are almost done. So the outer structure is ready, and now I can work a little bit on the details, which is the gear or the handle part, or where the darkness is coming in, the inner side of the lamp, etc. So now we work on the detailing and making it a little pretty. The angles, the curves, etc. will now come in. So this till now what we have done is the most critical part. You need to focus on that so that your drawing or sketching, proportions, perspective, etc. come in place. From here on we can start darkening the lines and leave it there, and then move on to the shading. Just darkening some lines here and there, and while I do that, I'll work on the curves and the shape of the object now. So you see I'm giving it the right curve towards the front of the scooter and giving that lines a little more diligently. Don't worry about making mistakes. At the early stage of your art journey, all you have to do is try to follow the lines, etc. And I know I am repeating myself time and again, but proportion and perspective is the most important thing at this point. Once you master that, your journey will be very, very quick. I'm just darkening some lines and correcting some angles while I go ahead with that. If you see, I'm moving my pencil a little freely. I'm not obsessing over how precisely things are falling in place, whether it's looking exact or not. All I'm worried about is that a scooter should look like a scooter, and the proportions should be in place, and that's about it. As we are darkening the lines, the shape of the scooter is looking a little better, and you can then leave it without shading as well if you want. So this outlining is the practice of this outlining will come handy when you're doing painting as well, because especially in watercolor, the baseline has to be pencil work, and no matter how good a painter you become, if your outline is not good, if your sketch is not good, then the painting cannot save it, or the paint cannot save it as much. Same with shading. So shading can only save your artwork to an extent, but if outline is not in place, no matter how good a shading you do, it's going to fall on the outlining that you have done. So this is the most crucial part of any artwork. And hence, I request the newbies to practice this stage as much as you can. And now comes the shading. I'm going to do some quick shading and not smudge anything or blend anything. It will be only pencil work. So I'm seeing where the darker areas are coming and just scribbling my pencil over the dark areas, giving some shadows. And if you've noticed, I haven't used any eraser in my drawing or sketch so far, and I will not be using any blending tools or using my fingers also to blend. So the more you work like this, which is without an eraser, and correct as you go, and shade without blending, you will become a better artist every day. I urge you to please practice like this, which is without trying to erase or using blending tools. Because this is something you can do it on the go. If you're in a train, bus, etc., you can very quickly pick up a pencil and a paper, and that's all you need, and you can start sketching things around. I'm only just looking at the picture and giving shades over the darker areas. That's what I'm focusing on right now. And I'm not too worried about where the line is falling and all. I'm just moving freely. Even if it's going a little here and there, I'm not worrying about it, because overall the shades of the scooter will look like, yes, the darkness is where the darkness should have been. I missed a part in the drawing, and now I'm coming back doing it. and back to shading. So I'm leaving the highlights as is. I'm not worried too much about the accuracy of shades as well. Giving some texture on the tire, while it's a honeycomb kind of a texture in the tire, but I'm just going zigzag, leaving some tire marks. And once again, not obsessing over the absolute accuracy of the same. Many a times just leaving a pencil mark here and there works. And there you go, moving on. Now time for the other tire, and very quickly I've given it some dark shade and moving on from there. Now detailing is something you can do as much as you want, but like I said, these are quick sketches that I would be teaching and I'm doing right now, and hence you don't have to worry too much about the details. As long as your basic structure is in place, your some shadows and shading here and there is right, you are through. Giving it some darker shades once again, just to give a little more structure and feeling of shading. But I won't be doing it too much. Like I said, I won't be going overboard with the shading. It is not a shading exercise, it is a sketching exercise. So wherever some pencil marks are required to give the feel of that particular object, I'll do that. If I have to go dark in some areas to show the shadows, I'll do that. But I will not be doing absolutely perfect shading, because that's the difference between an artwork and a sketch. And sketching is something which is important, and that's what this exercise is about. I'm simply looking at the darker areas and going a little dark there. That's about it. There is no science to it. I'm just seeing the tonality on overall scooter and seeing where the dark area is as comparison to the other areas, and giving it the same level of darkness. Some quick pencil marks to show the knob. I'm not doing it in a detailed fashion, just some marks here and there and moving on from there. Shadows. Trying to write the name of the scooter, which is Vespa. I will not be doing too much of detail there. I'll be just leaving some marks so that it looks like the name of the scooter. And for me, that's it. That's how much I needed in the quick sketch. Time to sign the artwork, and we are ready. Hope you liked the video and learned something from it. Please like, share and subscribe for weekly tutorials like this. This is the final product. Thank you so much for watching.